After driving 9 hours through a snowstorm to surprise my wife on her birthday, I walked in with a cake and heard her tell her sister, "God, I hope he crashes. He could use the insurance." Her sister replied, "Or at least a few months of silence." They laughed. He left the cake on the counter. The next morning, I was gone. 3 weeks later, she regretted everything she said. So, I'm 33M, and my wife Emily, 31F, and I have been married for 7 years. Classic story: high school sweethearts, broke up for college, reconnected at a mutual friend's wedding, and the rest was history. Or so I thought. Things haven't been great lately. Emily's been distant. It started about 6 months ago when she began hanging out more with her sister, Olivia, and this new group of friends who all seem to drive cars they can't afford and take vacations they don't have the money for. Not judging, just noticing. Emily started making comments about our house being starter size and asking when I was going to level up career-wise. He chalked it up to a phase. We live comfortably. A nice 3-bedroom in a good neighborhood, 2 decent cars, a yearly vacation, nothing fancy, but we're doing fine. Or, I thought we were. Last week was Emily's birthday. February birthdays suck in the Midwest. Always cold, often snowy, and plans get cancelled, so I decided to do something special this year. Her actual birthday fell on a Tuesday, but she'd mentioned wanting to visit her sister that weekend since they had plans to go to some spa thing on Saturday. I told her I couldn't get away from work and would have to stay behind. That was a lie. They actually arranged to take Friday off. The plan? Surprise her by showing up at Olivia's place Friday evening with her favorite cake from this bakery near our house, then take her out for a fancy dinner they already booked. They even packed a bag with her favorite dress and shoes. He had it all worked out. Weather reports started looking sketchy Thursday night. Winter storm warnings for 6 to 10 inches expected across 3 states, including the entire route I needed to drive. Most people would be cancelled. Didn't they? Partly stubborn determination, partly not wanting to waste the reservation at the restaurant that took me 3 weeks to get. He left at 7 de la mañana. Fraida. What's old babe in a 6-hour drive turned into a 9-hour nightmare. We tenukly driving through snow so thick I could barely see the tail lights in front of me. 3 accidents on the highway slowed everything to a crawl. Had to stop twice to get coffee just to stay alert. But I kept thinking about Emily's face when I'd walk through the door. Worth it, right? I got to Olivia's neighborhood around 4 de la tarde. Had to park a block away because the plows hadn't come through yet. Grabbed the cake box and trudged through ankle-deep snow. My jeans were soaked by the time I got to Olivia's front door. The door was unlocked. I could hear them in the kitchen, voices and laughter. He was about to call out when I heard my name. Emily was mid-sentence. He texted earlier saying he was stuck at work, probably still there. In this weather, they have sent everyone home. Olivia replied, "Well, he's probably on the couch with his headphones on, playing that stupid game again." He froze in the entryway. This wasn't the usual playful eye-rolling about my gaming habits. There was real contempt in her voice. "At least he's not here ruining your birthday week," Olivia said. He almost stepped in to announce myself. Wish I had. Instead, I heard what came next. "God, can you imagine?" Emily laughed. They insist on coming to dinner with us tonight and tell the same 3 stories he always tells. Then they get that sad puppy look when I want to go out tomorrow without him. My stomach twisted. I stood there, holding the stupid cake they'd driven 9 hours through a blizzard to deliver, listening to my wife mock me to her sister. "Well, at least he's safely out of the way," Olivia said. "The roads are a disaster. My friend's husband got stuck on the highway for 3 hours. There was a pause. Then Emily said something I'll never forget. "God, I hope he crashes. He could use the insurance." I must be made a noise because they both went quiet. I thought he'd been caught, but then Olivia responded, "Or at least a few months of silence." They both laughed. Actual laughter at the thought of me dead or in the hospital. I don't remember consciously deciding what to do next. He just walked into the kitchen, placed the cake box on the counter, and walked back out. Their faces, I've never seen color drain from Simeone's face so quickly in real life. Emily called my name, but I just kept walking, back through the snow, back to my car. He sat there for maybe 20 minutes before I could even bring myself to turn the key in the ignition. My phone blew up, 17 missed calls. By the time I checked, there were 38 text messages. I read exactly none of them. I drove to the nearest motel. It cost me $80 for a room that smelled like cigarettes in desperation. I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling until sunrise. When I did turn my phone back on, there were 63 texts and 29 missed calls. I didn't read any of them. I just texted my friend Theo. Something happened with Emily. Need a place to crash for a few days. Theo, being the MVP he is, just replied, doors unlocked, beers in the fridge. He drove the 9 hours back home, packed 3 suitcases of clothes and essentials while Emily was still at Olivia's. Grabbed my important documents from our fireproof box and went to Theo's. That was 3 days ago. I still haven't spoken to Emily, though not for her lack of trying. She's called from multiple numbers, left voicemails ranging from tearful to angry, and even showed up at my work yesterday. I wasn't there. Called in sick. Today, I went to the bank and moved half of our joint savings into a new account in just my name. Frozen our joint credit cards. Changed all my passwords. Told my boss I needed to work remotely for a week due to a family emergency. It's all very methodical, which is weird because inside, I feel like I'm in free fall. The thing is, I keep replaying those words, I hope he crashes. He could use the insurance. Who says that about someone they're supposed to love? Who laughs about their spouse being silenced for months? Even worse is realizing this probably isn't the first time Sis said something like this. Used the first time eBay heard it. Old friends have started reaching out. Apparently, Emily's telling people we had a misunderstanding and I'm overreacting. Classic gaslighting move. One mutual friend texted, whatever happened, I'm sure you guys can work through it. Without even asking for my side. I haven't told anyone what I heard. Not even Theo knows the full story, though he hasn't pushed. It just keeps the fridge stocked and gives me space. Last night, I finally read some of Emily's texts. They follow a predictable pattern. Confusion, where did you go? Why did you leave? Defensiveness, it was just a joke. You weren't supposed to hear that. Anger, you're being childish. Answer your damn phone. Manipulation, I'm worried about you. I don't even know how to feel anymore. Please let me know you're okay. Threats, if you don't call me back, I'm calling the police to report you missing. Self-pity, I can't believe you do this to me on my birthday weekend. Not one genuine apology. Not one acknowledgement of how messed up what she said was. After reading those, I blocked her number. I wasn't ready to talk to her. Maybe I never will be. Today, I met with a financial advisor named Milton, who a coworker recommended. He spent 2 hours going through our finances. Found out some interesting things, like how Emily's been spending $17,800 a month on online shopping for the past year, or how she took out a store credit card I didn't know about, with a $3,000 balance. Milton helped me make a plan to disentangle our finances as painlessly as possible. It's all legal. Nothing shady, but it means Emily's about to get a reality check about her spending habits. The joint account I left untouched has enough for this month's mortgage and utilities. After that, we see. I'm not trying to leave her destitute. I just need her to understand there are consequences. The wild thing is, I still catch myself wondering if I'm overreacting. Like maybe it really was just a joke, but then I remember her tone, the casualness of wishing me dead, the laughter after. And I know I'm not. Theo says I should talk to her, if only to get closure. Maybe is right. But right now, I'm still processing, still trying to figure out who this person I married actually is. Tomorrow marks 4 days of silence from my end. Emily's sister Olivia tried to call today. He didn't answer. Then, our neighbor Lydia texted saying, Emily was at our house crying on the front step because I changed the garage door code. Part of me feels bad. Most of me don't. The thing that keeps me up at night isn't even the insurance comment. It's the laughter. The easy way they both found humor in the thought of me suffering. Who does that? And how long has she felt this way? Eve also been wondering about the life insurance policy we took out 3 years ago. It's not huge, $500,000, but enough to make someone hope he crashes, I guess. Calling the insurance company tomorrow to see about changing the beneficiary. I know this is getting long, but tapping it all out helps. Teo's got a buddy who's a divorce lawyer. Meeting him for coffee tomorrow. Not sure if that's where this is heading, but I need to know my options. For anyone wondering what I'm going to do next, I don't know yet. Part of me wants to just disappear completely, change my number, move to a different state, start over. But that feels like running away. Another part wants confrontation. Wants to see her face when I repeat her words back to her, wants her to feel 1/10 of the hurt I'm feeling. But mostly, I used want the hollow feeling in my chest to go away. I want to stop seeing her face when I close my eyes. I want to stop hearing those words and that laughter on repeat in my head. For now though, I'm taking it one day at a time, keeping my head down, making plans, and letting her wonder where I am, what I know, and what I'm going to do. If there is interest, I'll update as things develop. Regardless, thanks for letting me vent. Sometimes the internet is the only place where strangers will just listen without trying to fix everything. Still standing, still breathing. My books, my records, my tools from the garage, the weird metal sculpture I bought at that art fair she hated, 4 hours of methodically erasing my presence. What I didn't take were the things we'd purchased together, the couch we picked out after 3 weekends of shopping, the kitchen table where we'd eaten thousands of meals, the bed where we'd slept, fought, made up, and made love. I left all of our framed photos exactly where they were. Something about seeing my face smiling back at her from every wall, every surface, felt right, a reminder of what she'd thrown away. Before I left, I did 3 things. First, I turned the thermostat down to 62 grados. Emily always complained if it was below 70 grados. Second, I took the light bulb out of the refrigerator, a small inconvenience that would take days to notice, but would irritate her every time she opened it at night. Third, I changed the Wi-Fi password to I hope he crashes 2023 and left the router unplugged. Small things. Petty things. Things that would make her feel the absence of me in 100 tiny ways before she even processed the bigger absence. As I locked the door behind me, our neighbor Lydia was getting her mail. She looked at Theodore's truck filled with my stuff, then at me, eyebrows raised. He just shrugged and said I was taking some things to donate. She didn't believe me. Here I said as much, but she nodded and went inside. Midwest politeness, don't ask uncomfortable questions. Mind your business. Usually, it annoys me, but that day, I was grateful. Back at Theodore's, I stacked everything in his garage except for 2 suitcases of clothes and necessities that came inside. He helped me unload without asking questions. Just handed me a beer when we finished and said, sometimes life kicks you in the teeth. Thursday was financial day. He met with Milton again. They gathered all our account information and laid everything out in a spreadsheet that made my stomach turn. Turns out Emily had been spending way more than I realized. Not just the store credit card I mentioned before, but cash withdrawals from our joint checking, $300 here, $500 there. Over $12,000 in the past year that she couldn't account for with receipts or purchases. He could see it now, all the holes. Milton helped me draft a letter formally requesting financial separation. Not divorce papers, not yet, but a clear statement that I would no longer be responsible for any new debts she incurred. He had it delivered by e-courier to her workplace. Petty? Maybe. Effective? Definitely. He also cancelled our shared streaming accounts and subscription services. Changed the passwords on our cloud storage where we kept important documents. Redirected all my mail to a PO box. Ismail, systematic cuts to our intertwined life. Friday morning, I finally checked my social media, 17 Facebook messages, 34 Instagram DMs. Even my dormant Twitter had notifications. People checking if I was okay, people asking what happened with Emily, people taking sides without knowing the full story. He posted exactly one thing, a photo of a half-eaten birthday cake on a kitchen counter. No caption, no context, just the cake. Within an hour, my phone blew up. Friends texting to ask what it meant. Emily called 6 times in 20 minutes. Her best friend Jill sent a message asking if I was okay because Emily was really worried. He answered none of them. That afternoon, I met with Rayon from work to explain I needed some personal time. It was surprisingly understanding, just asked how much time I needed and if I could still handle the Wilson project remotely. He said yes to the project, 2 weeks for the time. Et didn't pray. He used clapped me on the shoulder and said, sometimes space is the best way to get clarity. First decent advice he'd gotten since this whole thing started. Saturday brought the first real confrontation. I was at the grocery store, staring at frozen pizzas, trying to remember which brand Theodore preferred, when someone called my name. I turned around to find Mia standing there, shopping basket in hand, face pale like she'd seen a ghost. She started with the usual, Emily's worried sick. Evedion is concerned. Won't you please just talk to her? When I didn't respond, her tone shifted. You're being childish. It was just a joke between sisters. You're blowing things out of proportion. He finally spoke, asked her point blank if she thought wishing death on your spouse for insurance money was normal sister joke material. He asked if she'd want her boyfriend to hear her say something similar. I asked if she realized that joke was the culmination of months of Emily's growing contempt. She didn't have answers, just stammered something about misunderstandings and context. I put the pizza back, left my half-filled cart in the aisle, and walked out. Petty? Yes. Satisfying? Also yes. Sunday was quiet. Theodore had some friends over to watch the game. They all knew something was up, but nobody asked. They just handed me beers and made room on the couch. For 3 hours, I almost felt normal. Then Monday hit, and with it, reality. My temporary leave from work began. The house he'd shared with Emily for 5 years was sitting half empty across town, and my phone showed 15 missed calls from her overnight. He finally listened to one voicemail. Her voice sounded different, scratchy, raw. She said she hadn't been sleeping. Said the house felt wrong without me. Said she'd noticed more and more of my things missing, and it was scaring her. Asked if I was ever coming back or if I was ghosting our entire marriage. Something about her terminology, treating our relationship like some Tinder match you can just disappear from, hardened something in me. He texted Theodore that I was going for a drive and ended up parked outside our house. My house. Emily's house. For almost an hour. Her car wasn't there. The porch light was on, even though it was daytime, like she had forgotten to turn it off. The recycling bin at the curb was overflowing with wine bottles. He didn't go in. Used sat there, wondering how many mortgage payments I had left, wondering if I should sell it and split the proceeds or try to buy her out. Wondering how we'd gone from forever to forensic accounting in 10 days. Tuesday brought another financial surprise. Notification from our credit card company about unusual activity. Emily had gone on a shopping spree, over $2,000 at department stores and boutiques. Retail therapy or deliberate financial sabotage? Either way, I called and reported the card stolen. The new one sent to my PO box. Another bridge burned. That night, I finally posted something more substantial online. Not about Emily specifically, but a simple status: sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same. Vague enough to mean anything, specific enough for those in the know. Emily would see it. Her friends would see it. The narrative was shifting, from us having a meltdown to something serious happened. Wednesday marked 2 weeks since they heard those words in Olivia's kitchen. 2 weeks of silence from my end. 2 weeks of increasingly desperate attempts to contact me from Emily's end. He met with a lawyer Theodore recommended. Nice guy named Milton, yes, same name as my financial advisor, which got confusing fast. I laid out my options. Divorce would be straightforward since we don't have kids, but the house and finances would still be complicated. I suggested a formal separation first to give both of us time to untangle things properly. I agreed, and he drafted the paperwork on the spot. Said he could have it served as early as Friday. The ball was rolling now, picking up speed with each day of silence. Says that was when things escalated. I was working remotely from Teodore's dining table when the doorbell rang. Teodore answered, then came back looking uncomfortable. Emily's outside, he said, crying, demanding to see me. He sat there frozen, coffee halfway to my lips, as Theodore awkwardly asked if he should send her away or let her in. Neither option felt right. He wasn't ready to see her. Wasn't ready to hear whatever excuses she'd prepared. But sending her away felt like giving her ammunition, proof I was being unreasonable. So, I nodded, and Theodore let her in. She looked terrible. Hair unwashed, eyes red-rimmed, wearing what looked like the same sweater from days ago. She stood in the doorway, staring at me like she couldn't quite believe I was real. He didn't stand. Didn't offer her a seat. Just waited. She spoke first, asking if I was really having her served with separation papers. Apparently, Milton's assistant had called to verify our address, and she'd pressed until they revealed what the call was about. So much for the element of surprise. He said, yes, I was. She asked why I wouldn't talk to her, wouldn't let her explain. Her voice kept catching, like she had to force the words out. He told her there was nothing to explain. He heard what I heard. She said it wasn't what I thought. That she'd been stressed about work and bills, and her sister always brought out the worst in her. That she didn't mean it literally. It was just dark humor after a few glasses of wine. He asked her if she remembered what she'd said exactly. She hesitated, then claimed she'd said, I wish he'd just crash on the couch for a while, and he'd misheard. That's when I pulled out my phone, played the audio. Yes, I had a recording. Not because he'd planned it. He'd been using a voice memo app to record gift ideas on the drive, trying to think of what else to get her for her birthday besides the cake. Never stopped the recording. Her exact words. In her exact voice. God, I hope he crashes. He could use the insurance. Mia's response, or at least a few months of silence. The laughter afterward. The color drained from Emily's face as she heard herself. She tried to grab my phone. He moved it away. She started crying harder, saying it was taken out of context. She didn't mean it. They never hurt me. He just asked her one question, would you have told me about this conversation if I hadn't heard it myself? Her silence was answer enough. When I arrived, pure accident, fate, or whatever you want to call it, I heard her exact words, in her exact voice, God, I hope he crashes. He could use the insurance. Mia's response, or at least a few months of silence. The laughter afterward. The color drained from Abigail's face as she heard herself. She tried to grab my phone. He moved it away. She started crying harder, saying it was taken out of context. She didn't mean it. They never hurt me. He just asked her one question, would you have told me about this conversation if I hadn't heard it myself? Her silence was answer enough. Theodore had made himself scarce when she arrived, but now he came back into the room awkwardly, suggesting maybe they should continue this conversation another time, when emotions weren't so high. Abigail ignored him and focused entirely on me. She started listing all the things she'd realized over the past 2 weeks, how much she depended on me, how the house felt empty without me, how she couldn't sleep in our bed alone, how she'd never meant to hurt me and would spend the rest of her life making it up to me if I'd just come home. It was the performance of a lifetime. Tears, trembling hands, voice breaking at all the right moments. 2 weeks ago, I might have been moved. Might have believed her. But something had changed in me. I'd spent 14 days thinking about not just what she'd said, but why she'd said it. The contempt that must have been building, the casual cruelty. The person who could laugh at the thought of me dead was not the person I thought I'd married. So I told her the truth. I didn't know if I could ever trust her again. These separation papers weren't about punishing her. They were about protecting myself while I figured out if there was anything left to save. She didn't take it well. Started saying I was throwing away 7 years over one stupid comment. That everyone says things they don't mean when they're venting. That I was being cruel by disappearing and ignoring her. I just sat there, letting her words wash over me without penetrating. When she finally ran out of steam, I told her the separation papers would be delivered tomorrow and that she should read them carefully before deciding next steps. She left, sobbing, mascara streaked down her face. Theodore came back in with 2 beers and said, "That was the most uncomfortable thing I've witnessed since my parents' divorce." Dark humor, but I appreciated the attempt. That night, I couldn't sleep. Kept replaying her face when she heard the recording, the shock, the panic, but not, I noticed, genuine remorse. Used the fear of consequences. Friday morning, the papers were delivered, as promised. By Friday afternoon, Abigail's sister, Mia, was posting vague social media statuses about men who overreact and destroy marriages over misunderstandings. Funny how families close ranks, even when they know who's in the wrong. But something unexpected happened too. Abigail's best friend, Jill, messaged me with a simple text, "I've heard the whole story now, including what Abigail actually said, and I'm sorry you're going through this." She said she'd known Abigail since college and had seen her make similarly cutting remarks about others. Said she'd tried to talk to Abigail about it before but got shut down. It was the first message from anyone in Abigail's circle that acknowledged the legitimacy of my pain, rather than trying to minimize it. I didn't respond, but it stuck with me. Maybe Abigail's comment wasn't a momentary lapse but a glimpse of her true character. Maybe I'd been missing or ignoring red flags for years. The weekend passed quietly. Theodore had a date, so I had the house to myself. Ordered pizza, watched a sci-fi series Abigail had always refused to watch with me, and tried not to think about the fact that in another life, another timeline, I'd be at home with my wife, celebrating our monthly pizza and movie night tradition. Sunday night, Abigail texted just 2 words, "I'm sorry." First genuine apology in 17 days. No excuses attached. No demands to talk. Used those 2 words. I didn't respond, but I thought about it longer than I should have. Monday morning, the 18 of this new reality, I woke up to find Abigail sitting in her car outside Theodore's house. Used sitting there, watching the door. Theodore spotted her first and pointed her out through the kitchen window. He called her, asked what she was doing. She said she just needed to see me to know I was really okay. Said she wouldn't approach the house or make a scene, just needed visual confirmation. It was both concerning and oddly touching. I told her to go home, at this wasn't helping either of us. She asked if I'd read her message. He said yes. She asked if I believed she was sorry. He said, "I don't know." Then she asked the question he'd been dreading, "Are you filing for divorce?" He told her the truth. He hadn't decided yet. She stayed in her car for another hour before finally driving away. Theodore suggested changing the locks on my house, just in case. He agreed, and we spent the afternoon installing new deadbolts. Another small severing of our connected lives. Today marks 3 weeks since that night at Olivia's. 3 weeks of silence, mostly separation, and sorting through the wreckage of what I thought was a solid marriage. I'm not sleeping great. I miss stupid things. The way Emily always bought the good coffee, even though it was more expensive. How she sing badly in the shower every morning. Her ridiculous collection of fuzzy socks that always ended up on my side of the bed. But I don't miss the growing contempt I now realize had been building for months. Don't miss walking on eggshells around her moods. Don't miss the subtle put-downs that Edie brushed off as just her sense of humor. The separation papers have been signed and filed. The lawyer says we're officially in a legal separation period, 6 months where we're still technically married but living apart, with finances formally separated. At the end of those 6 months, we either reconcile or proceed with divorce. 3 weeks ago, I wouldn't have hesitated to say reconciliation was impossible. Now, I'm less certain. Not because Eve forgiven her, but because untangling a 7-year marriage is complicated, houses, bank accounts, families, and friends all intertwined in ways I'm only now beginning to understand. As I write this, my phone lights up with a notification. Another message from Emily. Can we meet at a neutral location just to talk, please? I don't know what I'm going to say. Part of me wants to hear her out. Part of me thinks it's just prolonging the inevitable. Most of me is just tired of the whole situation. But I suspect I'll agree to meet her if only to say to her face all the things I've been typing to strangers on the internet. EAJ update if anything significant changes. And thanks for all the advice on the last post. Even the weird suggestions involving glitter and her shampoo bottle. Some of you need therapy, but I appreciate the solidarity. Still standing. Still breathing. Noah. Final update. It's been exactly 25 days since I left that cake on the counter. 25 days of silence, separation, and more adulting than I ever wanted to do. This will probably be my last update because, well, there is only so many ways to dissect a dead marriage before even the internet gets born. First, thanks for all the comments and DMs. Yes, even the weird one. No, I did not take the advice about putting fish in her car vents. YL are savages. So, the coffee shop meeting. I got there 15 minutes early because anxiety makes me punctual. Downtown groundwork coffee at 2 de la tarde. On a Thursday meant it was busy enough for background noise but not so crowded we'd be overheard. I picked a corner table, ordered a black coffee I didn't want, and waited. Emily arrived exactly on time, not 5 minutes late like she usually would be. Hair done, light makeup, wearing the blue sweater Ida given her last Christmas. All strategic choices, I'm sure. The first thing she said when she sat down wasn't hello. It was that she'd lost 7 pounds since I left. You struck that fact like it was supposed to mean something. Stress weight loss as relationship currency. Classic Emily move. I didn't respond immediately. I just asked why she wanted to meet. She had notes, actual handwritten ones on a yellow legal pad. The sight was so unexpected, I almost laughed. This was the woman who would rather die than make a grocery list. Her first point, I'm sorry. It was cruel and thoughtless. I didn't mean it. She was stressed, annoyed that I was missing her birthday weekend, and had been drinking wine with Mia. I asked why she laughed after. She flinched like Ida flicked water in her face. It was nervous laughter. Mia always brings out my worst side. It was just dark humor after a few glasses of wine. Second point, I took our relationship for granted. I got comfortable with the stability you gave me. I stopped appreciating what you did and focused on what you didn't do. Third point, the past 3 weeks have been a wake-up call. I realized how much I depended on you, not just financially, but emotionally. The house was too quiet. I started talking to myself just to hear a voice. Fourth point, I want to try couples therapy. eBay found a therapist who specializes in rebuilding trust after betrayal. eBay already booked a session for next week. Please consider it. Through all this, I just sat there, sipping my cold coffee, watching her face for signs of the woman who they casually wished me dead. Was this real remorse or a performance? I still couldn't tell. When she finished her prepared remarks, she looked at me directly for the first time and asked what I was thinking. I told her I was thinking about parallel universes, about how in another timeline, I never drove through that snowstorm, never heard what she said, would still be living in blissful ignorance, sleeping next to someone who could laugh at the thought of me dead. She started crying, not the theatrical sobbing from Theodore's living room, but quiet tears, wiping them away like they were an inconvenience. I laid out my terms, no negotiation, just facts. The separation would continue for the full 6 months. I wouldn't be moving back in during that time. I wasn't saying never to reconciliation, but I wasn't saying yes to couples therapy yet, either. I needed time. She nodded through all of it. When I finished, she just asked if I hated her. The weirdest part? I didn't. I still don't. There is anger, disappointment, hurt, but not hate. I told her that. She seemed genuinely surprised and said she'd been telling herself I must hate her to shut her off so completely. She said it was almost worse that I didn't, because it meant I didn't care enough anymore to feel anything that strong. That's done because it wasn't entirely wrong. We agreed to communicate by email about practical matters like the house and bills. She'd continue paying the mortgage, her name was on it, though. I'd continue paying my share of utilities. We'd reassess at the 3-month mark of the separation. As we got up to leave, she hesitated, then asked if she could hug me. I said no. She nodded, as if she expected it, gathered her things, and walked out. I sat there for another half hour, thinking about how surreal it was to have such a business-like conversation with someone you've seen ugly cry, someone who's held your head when you had food poisoning, someone who knew every stupid, embarrassing story from your childhood. 7 years reduced to bullet points on a legal pad.